Hello. Guten Abend. I'm a little bit late because my dear friend Greece invited me to Grisum, and we just spent some time sketching together and talking. I spent 2 hours speaking German, and that's why I'm a little bit late because we we were just doing this other thing until right now. But it is so nice to have you here. Thank you for being here, and I'm going to show you something. Here's a painting. Wait, let me put this um, full screen, fit to screen. So this is a painting. Today's portrait practice, we will be drawing a portrait, a bit of a figurative portrait actually. Um, this is a painting by the artist Hans Heysen. That's how I grew up knowing him. And I would say this is one of the earliest artists that probably left an impression um, on me because this landscape, this in some places where I grew up, it looks like this. It's beautiful. It's dry. Amazing gum trees, and Hans Heysen lived in the neighboring village. Not at the same time. He was passed away before I was born, I think, but he he lived and worked in the neighboring village to me. And Heysen the Cedars is the Instagram account where there's a gallery and they have offerings um, and stuff that you can check out. And I'm going to be doing a sketch now from this image, and I'll show you actually. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but this is going to be quick because I've just spent a lot of time sketching Hans, and I want to get in a bit closer here. And in a moment, I'll show you what I just did with Greece over in Zoom. Just do this. There's Hans, and I really like the gesture here. It's amazing, like the shadow shape, because we're focusing on shapes this month. Trying to draw without line, that is my personal challenge this month, and it's tricky, but I want to think in terms of shapes as I'm drawing. And please say hello in the chat. And I see that some of you have come straight over from Grisum, and feel free to speak German in the chat as well, weil jetzt wisst ihr, dass ich das auch beantworten kann. And I would love to see who's here. So I see Lewis, Ingrid, Oliver, Andrea, Linda, Gabriela. It's so good to have you here. And yes, Ingrid, it is a wonderful painting. Such beautiful work that Hans did. And Hans is originally from Hamburg, and then ended up in Australia, and has really, I feel like, iconic kind of depictions of the landscape and really beautiful trees. And there's a strong association with Australia. I can almost smell the eucalyptus when I see his paintings. And here are the sketches. I just said this was a 3-minute Hans. This was 20 minutes. And here I shared some tips of ways that I like to draw and think about things, and to encourage people to try some things. These are the things I just did with Greece, and thank you so much. Yes, today is right now we're going to do the third Hans. So typically in my daily practice, it's been really very portrait focused, but I really like the shapes in this. The whole image is really beautiful. So I decided I'd go with this, and also to mix it up a bit because I just did 2 portraits, and I like this image and thought this would be cool to work on. So that's what we're doing. So für die gerade direkt von Grisum kommen, I'm going to try and make this about 10 minutes. We'll see how it goes, because it's late, it's bedtime. Aber für die gerade in Grisum waren, gab es ein Highlight. Vielleicht ist einfach irgendwas, der gesagt wurde, der lustig war, oder irgendwas, was ihr gefühlt habt, dass ihr was gelernt habt. So, das war interessant. Gab es ein Ding, der für euch so richtig, ihr könnt auf Englisch oder Deutsch antworten. Es wäre interessant zu wissen, ob es ein Takeaway heißt es auf Englisch. Chaos Maus, Nick, you're alone doing Han Solo. Buenas noches. Hi Maya, Lilo Fadenfish, hello again. Summer Wind, Color Art. It's so nice to have you all here. Let's do it. I'm going to put a stopwatch on just so I can kind of have a gauge of what I'm doing. And on this spread, I'm working with the parallel pen, whoops, and the water brush. And that's what I'm going to do now as well. And I didn't print out this reference, so I've got my iPad here. And yeah, the way it would also be interesting just to really zoom in, crop in close on the portrait, but the whole gesture, the framing of the portrait is really interesting. So I may also use this because it is finer. I can be more detailed than with the parallel pen because it's also a broad nib. Calligraphy pens I like a lot. What is this? 1.4mm nib that I have on here at the moment. But I'll start with this, because already a minute of my 10 minutes and I haven't even started. Und ich lese gleich euer Highlight, euer Takeaway von den Grisum, dass ich hier mal loslegen kann. Dass es interessant bleibt für alle, die zuschauen und zeichnen wollen. Gelb und blau, nicht gleich grün. Yeah, that's interesting, right? That was really, so I imagine that many of you who are German speakers may understand some English. So I will also communicate in English. And if there's something that you don't get, you could say, kannst du das nochmal auf Deutsch sagen? But yeah, I have this book, which is a color theory book. So we recently had Ian Goldsmith on the Drawn Together show, which is so good. Ian's work is amazing. What he's been doing with color has been insightful and wonderful. But the first color there's an amazing book by James Gurney called Color and Light. But for some reason, I feel like a book that really made a big impact on my understanding of color when I was having a bad time trying to mix colors. I think I told my dad, I was like, oh, color mixing is so hard. And he was like, oh, you got to check out this book. And it's called Blue and Yellow Don't Make Green. And we talked about it, I think we talked about it a bit with Ian, like instead of having 3 primary colors, having 6 is a really good foundation. Because you can have a warm blue and a cool blue, a warm red and a cool red, a warm yellow and a cool yellow. And from there, so you would mix your cool blue. Wait a minute. Yeah, the thing that I had, the problem that was plaguing me, it was just it was so hard, was when I tried to paint a carrot. And you know how bright carrots are, and my carrot just looked like a mud stick, and I couldn't figure out why can't I make orange. I see this vibrant, incredible orange, and so the red and yellow that I was mixing, so I don't know exactly what colors it was, but let's say if it was a warm red and a cool yellow, I guess it'd be really hard to get the vibrancy that I was after. And I don't know, I can't just whip out the names of the colors and the way it all works off the top of my head at the moment. I have to sit down and paint something and look at it to really understand it. But just hearing that for the first time, that there's a warm and cool blue, that was revolutionary for me. Hearing that changed the way I thought about color a lot. Nur nach Formen malen, sagt Lilo Fadenfish. Yeah, to draw shapes. Looking at shapes instead of looking at features and lines. So rather than saying I want to thinking, okay, now I'm going to draw the eyes, and now I'm going to draw the nose, and now I'm going to draw the mouth, to look at the shapes. And often if you have like a strong here, like we have like down this side is just a strong shadow shape. You just have this shape kind of connecting the features rather than breaking down things into their constituent parts and the facial features, for example, to just be like, okay, what's in shadow, what's in the light, and to draw with the forms. That's, yeah. So a cool question that Gries asked, so it was kind of like an interview, and it was a sketch-along session, and a cool question was, what aha moments have I had as I've learnt, and that was one of them, to realize that if you're capturing form rather than trying to, drawing what you see rather than drawing what you think you see. And if I think I see an eye and an eye, because I don't see an eye here, and if I don't worry about drawing that eye, I can just put the shape down and it's going to work out somehow. So yeah, it was a really cool session, and I mean, I'm very appreciative of Gries. He's a wonderful person, and it was fun being there. And it was a fun chat and informative and just a really nice session. So thank you to everyone. Vielen Dank für alle, die dabei waren. Yeah, that was another good one. Not to think all afternoon about, or to think I need a whole afternoon to be able to make art. Because that's what I used to think. I was like, okay, if I'm going to make something, then I need at least 5 hours undisturbed. But then realizing that in a very brief space of time, collectively, if it's 5 minutes a day for, every day for a number of weeks, then you've ended up spending quite a lot of time drawing something. So and just getting straight to it. Like if you've just got 10 minutes, so now we're already 7 minutes and 15 seconds in. And if you know you don't have a lot of time, you can just get straight to it, and it can be really surprising what you can get done within that time constraint. Yeah. I appreciated the questions that Gries asked. Because there are some really, I think, some helpful things that were able to be shared there. Ja, und für alle, die neu hier sind, normalerweise streame ich auf Englisch, aber jeden Tag zeichnen wir zusammen. Und du bist herzlich eingeladen, in diese, so mit einzusteigen. All right, I'm going to put some, hello Cindy, I'm going to put some water on here with the water brush. And once it reaches 10 minutes, I'll read what people have been saying and I'll try to stop. But I feel pretty good about this as a quick sketch, very different from the 2 portraits that we did. Ich glaube, hier war der Hans auch junger Mann. Unsere andere Vorlagen war ein bisschen älter. All right, a minute left, and I'm kind of like, what makes the most sense? What's worth changing? What's going to have an impact on the overall finish, or the feel of finish? Will it feel finished? Can it feel finished in such a short time? If so, what can I do now that will help me get there? It's interesting that this is kind of, this is not really white. Perhaps it's his shadow, perhaps there's something on the canvas which is a bit... Tomorrow I'll probably do an earlier live stream, so I get an early night again, because it was really good recently, getting some early nights. No first name. I was indeed speaking German, yes. So this was actually 9 minutes for me because I spoke for the first minute. But there we go. And now I'll read all of the insightful things that you've said. Yes, I was just speaking German, correct. It is a thing I can do. Mehrwertfarbe said Tonwerte waren das Schlüsselerlebnisse. Yeah, to be looking at values, like from light to dark, focusing on value. And if you get the values right, then you can use any color you want. Some of in color art, nur die Schatten zu zeichnen. That was a cool tip. So yeah, only draw the shadows, kind of like how I started here. That was a cool tip, yeah. And green and yellow don't make, no, blue and yellow don't make green. That was one. Ingrid says, nach Form malen und nicht was man sieht. Yeah, so to draw the shapes and don't draw what you think you're seeing. Oh yeah, not to focus on the features, but to just to focus on the abstract shapes that you see. Andrea says to fang einfach an, so start simple, and to simply start. There was a nice little wordplay with that, I think. Linda, you found out if you don't use your calligraphy pen a while, it gets blocked up. You can, depending on the ink you're using, you can put it in water. Just put it like in a glass of water, take the nib. So it could be this one, or it could be this one. And if you take the nib, is it a parallel pen, by the way, Linda? Because they come with this little like plastic balloon bubble thing that is actually used to pump water through the nib. So if it's a water-soluble ink, you'll be able to take the nib and just take it apart, take this bit, put it in water. You can just leave it there for a while. And I have like blown it out, but if you can use this little pump that comes with these pens, you can flush them out. Because I don't know how healthy it is to like put it in your mouth. But you can get the ink flowing again. So I hope that will help you, Linda. Astrid, that ink can teach so much. Yes, working with ink, Tusche, kann viel weiterbringen. Good evening, no first name. Can I please advise on improving proportions? You're struggling to get that down when drawing figures. Some of the things I've just been saying, like look at shapes. There are ways, if you're working with anatomy, there are really clear ways that you can study anatomy where you're like, okay, this is this big in relation to this, and you can get a general sense of how things are. But the way that I work is just to look at the shapes. And here, for example, I started with the hand, and then just kind of went over here, then up here. And I'm trying to see how each shape is in relation to the next shape. And that's how I found my way up. And I know the proportions are not perfect here, but it helps me find my way. I've got this shape here, and that helps me make that decision and the next decision, and each consecutive thing that you draw to kind of use that to compare to what the next thing is. I think that is kind of a helpful way of looking. And so that is a practice of like comparing things. How long is the arm compared to the entire length of the body? And just always be comparing different shapes, different angles. It's all about angles. What is the angle and what is the distance between the shapes? Like those are the things to focus on. How's my angle and how's the distance? I think that will help a lot. You're very welcome. Thank you for asking. Yes, Linda. You have this one. Yeah, and you can do the same with that. Put it in water. You can refill the empty cartridges. I have never bought cartridges. So have to be very careful. There are a couple of different ways. So if you have one of these, and I'm going to be sharing, I've been setting up last week Amazon affiliate thing. If you use Amazon, I respect you a great deal. If you don't, sometimes it's just too convenient. But I'm going to be sharing like all the links of specifically the stuff I use like in the coming week. I've been setting it up the last few days. But this is a fountain pen converter. And it has the screw thing with like a plunger, and it sucks the ink up. It's great. And for this one, I use this to refill it. And I have my jar of ink, and I put something on the table that's sticky, like a kneaded eraser, to hold the cartridge upright, and then I put some ink in it, and that's how I refill. I've never bought a replacement cartridge because I like being able to reuse things and not have lots of waste. No First Name says, but when making poses that are not straight up, you find it difficult to measure. Try drawing from head to feet. Depending on the time frame you have, sometimes just starting and just trying, like with something really loose, can be very beneficial. Like, here's a little bonus tutorial thing here. But let's say, working from the same image, that I'm not measuring, I'm not going like bit by bit, but I just want to kind of capture something. And I can maybe start with the head is kind of here, and then just like, okay, it's swinging down like this, trying to capture just the general shape. And this is like super loose, and then you can put detail into it if you like. And you're like, okay, this goes to about here, and then we've got this shadow coming up here. And lots of practice like this will kind of help, because you can see pretty quickly when it's off. And if you notice, oh no, the proportions are off. If you've only spent 30 seconds drawing it, just try again. But if you notice, hey, that's pretty good proportion-wise, then you could start kind of putting some more detail into it. But these kind of really loose sketches, which you can do a lot of, and you can do them wrong and just start again because they don't take much time. It's when you notice that the proportions are wrong, that's already like an indication, like, oh, there's something wrong about this. What is it? And then if you can figure out what it is, you can like adapt and try the next one. And maybe the next one you'll avoid the mistakes you're making the first time. So it's just trying to be conscious of what it is that's not working out and what you can do to improve it. And I feel like it's much more rewarding and not as frustrating to do really quick things like this, because you have a really quick sense, very quick feedback of like, oh, that only took 30 seconds, rather than spending 30 minutes on something being like, oh, so frustrated, you know? So doing lots of really quick studies, that starts to give you a sense of like, okay, am I getting the proportions right? And each time you notice, no, that's not right, maybe next time it could be trying to loosen up. It could be just working a bit slower. Like, just try different things, trying different approaches to see how you can be more content with your outcome. Linda, you says you would buy ink from my Amazon store too. Yeah, cool. That should be up in the coming week. I'm going to share all of the stuff that I use regularly. And if you buy it there, you get it, and I get a commission if you follow my link. So that could be interesting. I see that a lot of artists do that, and I was like, I could do that too. Yes, the link, the converter is so good. It's super convenient for refilling these pens. All right, thank you everyone for being here. If you've made it to the end of this live stream, falls ihr immer noch hier seid, macht eine zeichnende Hand, eine Hand, der einen Stift zeigt, as emoji. Put a drawing hand emoji in the chat. And that will let me know you've made it all the way to the end of this live stream. I'll be like, oh, thank you so much for being here. And if you're watching the replay, then you could also do that. If you've made it to the end, put a drawing hand emoji in the chat and be like, that person stayed all the way to the end. They saw my whole video. I'm so happy that you're getting something out of these videos, because that's what it's all about, really. Just sharing, creating stuff together. Ich freue mich, wenn ihr was davon habt. Gerne, it is a good idea, isn't it? Yeah, just practice a lot of loose. And there are different ways to do it. If it's the same reference, you could just start again, until you feel like, oh, this one amongst these 10 sketches, this one looks closest. And then you keep refining that way of kind of perceiving what you're doing. Herzlichen Dank. Sehr schön. So nice to have you here. This is always fun. Stifthand, Gabriele. Yes, you can also just write Stifthand in the chat. And if you're not yet in my Discord server, I'm going to put the link in the chat and would love you to join, because that's where I share the reference and people share their work there. So I'm just going to get this link and put it in the chat. And yeah, the Discord server is great. Be there, share your work on Instagram as well if you like. Tag me, thumbs up, please, and subscribe to this channel. 35 people here, only 14 likes. Maybe we could get a few more thumbs up in there. And thank you. It's been great. I hope you all rest well. Thank you very much, Lewis. Thank you all for being here. And until next time, you're great. And thank you, Hans, for all of your great work and being our muse for today. Hans number 3. Take care, everyone. See you next time.